Hi, I'm Millie Murillo.
I'm Ashley Torrent.
And I'm Patsy Kenny.
Welcome to the Blue Butterfly Effect podcast, a gathering place for real conversations and quiet revolutions.
Welcome back. Hi, everyone. We are here for another episode of the Blue Butterfly Effect podcast. I am Patsy Kenny. I am here with my beautiful co-hosts, Millie Murillo, Ashley Torrent. Yeah, we're so thrilled to be back with y'all and really have appreciated all of the feedback you've shared with us in the last few weeks. Today, we have an episode topic that I think will be a fun one to explore. We're going to dive into the meaning of signs, how we can stay open to them, how they might come through, what meaning we can draw from them. And I'm fresh off of reading Laura Lynn Jackson's book, Guidance, where she unpacks how we can interpret and integrate the signs we receive from those on the other side into our everyday lives. So I'm super jazzed about it. But before we dive in, I would love to turn it over to Ashley to help us get grounded and expanded into the session. So thank you.
Okay, let's do it. So get comfortable wherever you are. If you can, just finding a quiet space for you. And as you do this, just take a moment and become mindful of your breath. Just allowing your body to breathe as it wants to breathe. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And as you breathe, you're intentionally shifting your awareness away from the practical world, away from your to-do lists and the busyness of life. And we can even ask the fearful, doubtful aspects of our mind to step aside as you listen to this conversation, so that you allow other energies inside you to become present as we shift into the space of soul, of spirit, of signs, of our connection to all that is, of magic, of the divinity within us. And of this conversation, which is so important because it supports how our human and our spiritual sides work together. It's a reminder that we are never alone. So with your next breath, invite the light of your soul to the forefront of your awareness. Imagine your soul's light filling your heart space, like the rising sun within you, you becoming brighter and brighter. And then in your next breath, invite that light to fill every corner of your being, so that you are radiating in your divinity. You feel it in your cells and in your skin, in your bones and your muscles and your tissues and your organs and your nervous system and your brain. You feel the love of spirit within you. You radiate that love. And in your next breath, invite that light to move down through your legs, through your feet, through your toes, and to connect to the earth, offering our love and light to this beautiful planet. Thank you, Mama Earth, for being with us. We offer you a prayer of peace and harmony in your earth body. And we also offer our love to the collective body. This reminder that we are one, that nothing separates us because we are all spirit. And we offer a prayer of peace and harmony and liberation in this collective body. May all beings be free, and may all beings remember their true nature. That being alive is a spiritual experience. And staying connected to the earth, we invite our light to move up through the center of our bodies and out the crown of our head. And we expand our light into the universe as we become brighter and brighter. We're shining from root to crown, radiating love, our soul big, bright, luminescent. And we offer our love and gratitude to the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, all the magical forces that support our life here. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to all those unseen in spirit that support us, our ancestors, our angels, our guides, our loved ones. Thank you to all the benevolent energies that support us. And as you breathe with this expansion and with the light of your soul, take a minute and decide, choose a sign that you would like to receive from your soul or from spirit or from a loved one. Pick a very specific symbol or word or song or picture. It can be anything. But get very specific about what you would like to receive. And then in your next breath, just say to yourself, show me this. Show me this so I know that I'm not alone. Show me this so I know I'm in relationship with life and with the divine. And then in your next breath, just let it go. Release that. Release that intention and trusting that it'll come back to you. You don't have to search for it. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to try. Just trusting with love that that sign will come back to you. And then when you're ready, become aware of the room you're in or your feet on the floor or underneath you if you're sitting. Become aware of your body once again. Take a couple more breaths and then open your eyes and we'll begin.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Such a beautiful way to segue into this theme of signs. I know for me, I have always had this inclination to be aware and kind of working in relationship with signs. I haven't always known how to interpret them. They haven't always emerged instantly when I was asking. They maybe taken a different shape or form in how they reached me, but the message eventually lands. And so I'm just curious. I thought it'd be fun to start with each of us sharing our relationships to signs and how we work with them, stay open to them, and eventually draw meaning from them.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I've made some of my biggest life decisions, some of my very pivotal life decisions based on signs. And it's been a process, right, of having a desire for something or an idea of something and then just receiving a sign and acting on that desire pretty much almost immediately, right? Whether the sign came from someone or out in the wild in life, it's been, they've been life changing for me. I think one of the boldest decisions I made when I was very young was when I moved to Costa Rica. And that sign, I wanted to do that. And the sign to do it came from a reading from a numerologist, right? Then I had the desire to quit my job and go into practice as a coach and as an astrologer full time. And it took me quite some time to make that decision to take the leap. And I remember that I was on my lunch break from my job and I was walking around the city with headphones on listening to music. And I was just thinking about quite frankly, all the things that could go wrong. Like, am I going to make money? How is this going to happen? What am I going to do? And then this Bob Marley song, Three Little Birds, came up, and it starts, don't worry about a thing because every little thing is going to be all right. And then I just laughed and okay, I see you, you know, even the beginning of the beginning of this podcast, the Blue Butterfly Effect podcast, uh, the blue butterfly being something that came in a dream. And then I was gifted things with blue butterflies on them. And then, that connecting me with Ash in some way, and just even moving to this apartment. Even moving to this apartment again, it was something that we had thought about for months, and then a hawk landed right outside our window, and something in me just said, "You have to do this now." And sure enough, the hawk landed right outside our window in our previous apartment on a Sunday. On Monday, we saw the apartment that we're in now. By the following Friday, we had signed the lease, paid first and last month's rent, all the things. And every single time it's been because of a sign. And those decisions have had a lasting imprint in my life. So signs are everything.
I love that. I love that arc. Yeah, just to see how you've woven them into your life and how supportive they are. Um, we've talked about this before, that spirituality is a relationship, and the more we show up to connect to our souls and to spirit, the more energy there is in that relationship. It's like anything else, but it does require trust and vulnerability, um, just like any other relationship. And I remember when I first started my mediumship journey, I had a lot of fear and doubt, and I found that my relationship to signs and that journey showed me a lot of where I wasn't in trust, where I wasn't in surrender. And mediumship requires surrender. It requires like letting go of the mind completely in order to connect to the other side. I mean, pretty much. So what I saw is in my relationships to sign, it would show me when I was desperate. It would show me when I was in doubt. It would show me when I wasn't in trust, when I was in fear. And as I've grown to be in more trust and surrender and then opening up to receive signs, it's so much easier. I just feel like spirit is just right there with me, and it's not perfect and it's not all the time. I'm human. We fall out of this relationship. Sometimes we come back. It's a coming home over and over again. So when I'm in my most connected, it feels very easy, very sparky, very magical. And when Millie was talking about the blue butterfly is my sign for spirit. And when I started my mediumship journey, I remember before my first paid reading, I just was so full of fear and doubt. And I just said, it was like 30 minutes before, and I just said, if I'm supposed to be doing this, if this is a part of my journey, if this is real, please send me a blue butterfly. And I'd never seen one before, so I didn't know they existed. I was like, blue butterfly, because I was surrounded by orange and yellow butterflies and every other color. And one flew into my window before that reading. And I remember just feeling like, oh, and it changed everything. So when you came to me, Millie, with a dream about blue butterflies, I was like, oh, this just makes sense. It's like spirit communicating for us. And like recently, I had a woman come to me who had never seen our podcast, so didn't know I wear this necklace, hadn't met me, but someone referred her to me. And she was like, my sign is butterflies. And so when I see somebody with butterflies around them, I know I'm meant to connect. And I was like, have you seen my necklace? She goes, I just noticed it. And we had a really beautiful connection. Yeah. Um, and recently, just another example, I've been getting a lot of information about death doulas through different readings I've had, and the importance. I feel like spirit is asking for the spiritual community to, like, during birth and death, to include mediumship in those places. So we know what beings are helping a child to be born during that portal time and what beings are helping escort them to the other side. And that's not something that's often taught. And so I've been getting this message, and there's been a couple of people that the message has been for them to explore death doula work and mediumship. But I just had this feeling, I was like, is this something I need to dive deeper into for me? And I was like, if so, send me a black heart emoji. That's the picture I had in my head. Send me a black heart. And the next day I got a text and there was a black heart on it. And I was like, I don't get a lot of black hearts. And I was like, okay, message received.
Yeah, it's so reassuring, right? Like
hmm
this relationship and language, the trust, the vulnerability, the openness. And so I want to also kind of get specific around like what is the language of signs? And I think eh, for me it's come through in various forms. You each have touched on different ones, right? Through like being out in the world, receiving something, as simple in our modern day as a text versus like an animal coming in and making like its descent so profound. You're like, you can't ignore that. This hawk in a city of sky rises, you know what I mean? These
Right.
buildings that are, it's not like you were like in a cabin
Right.
contemplating this. Even so, the hawk sitting there for the length of time that it did, it was one that you can't ignore, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like spirit works in that way, in the sense of like, okay, you as the human here, you know, well, the spirit having a human experience, but in this human experience, having free will and opportunity to define what it is. Like, okay, show me this thing, show me this specific thing. And sometimes, we're super specific. Other times we're not as specific. And the answer shows up in a way that kind of takes your breath away. And you're like, okay, yeah, heard.
Mm.
Um, and other times it shows up sort of subtly through, right? It can be that example of a song, or um, you drive by and you see a sign on like a message on a billboard, or it comes through an unexpected call from a person who kind of is the link to the answer of that desire. I have been thinking about different examples. And for me, in the most recent years, I feel like I've really used signs as a way to stay in touch with my dad. And there's several. I mean, I could probably write a whole volume on just signs from him and that dialogue. But my sister-in-law reminded me of this moment where, in his final days, one of the caregivers that was coming into our home had shared with us that it's often helpful to leave, if we had like a battery operated doorbell, that it's helpful to leave that near the person's bedside. So if care was needed during the night, there was no way you could miss it. Like it would ring throughout the house. And so, oh, we were all like, oh, what a great idea. And my dad was excited because he's like, I already have one of those. It's right out, just come take it out easily. You can take it off the front door and we can bring it in, and that solves our problem, right? So there was this very long back and forth of getting the dang thing to work. And it ultimately we gave up. It didn't ever work. We replaced the batteries, we did all the things. We even went as far as to like buy a new one. We couldn't configure the new one to get it to work throughout the house or whatever. So we gave up on that. We chose a different alternative. Well, wouldn't you know, the day he crossed over at like 2 a.m. That morning or late morning, my sister-in-law and brother are at the house, and that freaking doorbell rang like Morse code. She even still has it makes me teary-eyed. She still has the video of it. They sent it to me. I had been in Rhode Island at the time. And it was
Mm.
like, okay, he's safely crossed over and he's got this thing fixed from the
Mm. Wow.
Wow.
outside. So moving. So moving. And he's come through in other moments where I've had doubt, like I shared with each of you recently. We were a long time before we had a celebration of life due to scheduling and everybody who we wanted to be present, and their availability. But towards the end of his life, he started to share things differently than what he had named up front around what his wishes were at the end. And I was really internally in this struggle of like, did we make the right choice by keeping it intimate, by keeping the celebration to really just family and a few close friends? Or did he really change his mind and want something different? Like I was internally struggling with that. And this was a few months after we had held that celebration. So I didn't name that with anyone. I just was sort of in quiet contemplation about it. And that very day, my mom sent me a text with a snapshot of a picture of a document, that she had found going through paperwork that day. She just happened to be going through paperwork and kinda cleaning up, tidying up things towards the end of the year, and that document was the, like, do not resuscitate agreement, and on that document, there was space for him to write what his final wishes were, and in his beautiful handwriting, it said, "No hoopla." Which is exactly his language of like, "No big fuss, I don't want an ordeal, I don't want a big thing." And, the fact that that came in, like, pretty instantly to when I was having that quiet questioning is just so moving. And again, it's like, it is a relationship, right? We get to nurture that, we stay open, we contemplate, and those signs are, like, undeniable. The other one, oh, I feel like I'm taking up a lot of time with these examples, but the animal nature thing, he was very specific with people who came to see him at the end and share their goodbyes, that he would come back as a certain type of bird when he crossed over. And every single person in our network who had that conversation with him had a moment with that specific type of bird. And then when we finally had that celebration of life, he showed up and gave us a show. Like the eagle that so many people who, like, don't live in the state of Maine where he was, buried and all of that were just in awe. And it wasn't like it was just a glimpse that no one, somebody on the far end of the table didn't get to see. Like, it was a full show. So I feel those truth bumps in my body now, but I think all of those examples also, I think naming this reminder that how it shows up in your body is significant too. Like, is there a sense of heart opening? Is there an emotion that washes through you? Is there that feeling of love that is, like, warm and embracing you? Is it through those truth bumps, as I like to call them? Being attuned to that is supportive of the message as well.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. And what you're naming about just noticing, because I think that the body's knowing that that a sign is a sign it's instant. It's instant. Like it either comes with you laughing almost uncontrollably, or just the smile and you're there's like a tenderness or a softness of like your heart, your chest melting, and you might get teary-eyed, right? Or it might just be this thing in like a message that just keeps saying, "You know what this is about. You know what this is about. You can't ignore this. You know what this is about. You already know what this is about." And that, I mean, for me, that's been a lot of the experience that I've had after significant signs. Um, I mean, move again, I think the most recent and most significant one was moving into this apartment and having that hawk land outside of our window of our previous apartment and just stay there for, I mean, like at least 15 minutes. And as I kept looking at it in my heart, I'm like, we have to move. We have to move. Like, we have to move. And me telling Carlos that, and he not fighting it at all. That was also another thing, right? Um, and sometimes these signs will have us take leaps that are big, that make our logical mind and our ego a little uncomfortable, and we just have to be willing to say, "I trust,"
Yeah.
right? Because moving in here came with a much greater financial responsibility,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's all worked out. But at the time, we understood what it meant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So signs are everywhere.
Yeah, and the receiving of them, us actually taking the moment to receive them is really important because we can get in these phases where we're like, I want a sign. And then it comes. And then we're like, next, I want more confirmation. I want more confirmation. I want more confirmation. And that, when we're paying attention to that, that shows us we're not in trust. And that is disruptive to the relationship. It's disruptive to like
Mm,
the loving relationship because we're rejecting the love that's being offered. And so I think it's really important to take that moment. Like, there have been times where I've asked for signs and then really not remembered what I was asking for and kind of forgot. And I was like, that's kind of shitty of me. Like, that wasn't very intentional, Like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Like, my relationship to spirit is worth so much more than that. So taking a moment to receive and say thank you and like paying attention is
mm,
is part of it. And like another example, so living in Costa Rica, there's all kinds of birds here, but I don't see blue herons very often. That's very like much like an East Coast kind of, or like other parts of the United States, blue herons. But I was surfing the other day and I wish I could remember what I was walking through. But blue heron is usually a sign of like courage, or like I'm taking a step towards something that maybe like I'm elevating my energy or my courage around something. Um, and I was out surfing and one flew across in front of me. And I was just like, what? There's a blue
Wow.
heron. I was like, where did you come from? But it was in that moment I was like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you
mhm,
for, and I hadn't
mhm,
asked for it. It just, that's the other thing is sometimes they come as like, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see like that this is hard, or I see that you're trying, or I'm celebrating you. And sometimes a lot of times it's up to us to interpret what that message is. But if we're paying attention, we can feel the love reverberate through us. And it's like a wink from the universe saying, right on,
mhm.
like, yes.
Totally.
And it's really cool.
It is. It's so encouraging. It's so supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it yeah, I find it so those, like, moments of awe, it's just like that reminder 'cause here in this human experience, like, it's so we're so quick to forget that when the mundane does hit us, like, and we're working through, you know, everyday things, or it can get dense down here. It can get dense. So, it's like, for me, that, like, reminder of we are always connected. We are never alone. There is like guidance available to us if we, like you said, like stay open to it and pause and like accept and be grateful for it. Like have that moment of reciprocity and oh, what's the word? Like acknowledgement. I think that just builds the cycle of reciprocity. It starts to accumulate and become stronger, and then those decisions can become more instant, and we have a greater sense of, like, what to do with it. Because it's a little bit of a, um, exploration to start to decipher, "Okay, what does this actually mean?" Especially when you receive a sign that you didn't particularly ask for, or you start to be attuned to energy that's moving around, and you're like, "What am I supposed to take from that?" That is too intense to ignore, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's trying to tell me, and so I'd be curious to know if you have I have a recent example of that where I was really struggling to interpret, like, what the heck does that mean? My TV is going on by itself in the other room, and it's got some real like, intense visuals that are coming across the screen, something that I don't typically indulge in or engage in, so what the heck, you know? And so I would be just so curious to know, like, what's your process for starting to understand it? Um, if you have any.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to remember, right, that um this the there's a relationship to our intuition. There's a relationship to signs. There's a relationship with the universe, source, God. Like it is a relationship that we are very actively in. And I think that the way that perhaps it has been presented over the last several years is that we just get to take and it's just there to serve us, right? But what you're speaking to is it's a relationship that you build over time in order to be able to recognize I'm going to act on this now, or I don't know what to do with this yet, but I trust that if a sign is coming to me, that then the next logical step will present itself. So there is no like blueprint, I think, as much as there is a relationship that you have that you feel your way through, that you intuit your way through. I think that response might be a little annoying to people, but this is a relationship. It is a
Mhm.
reciprocity between you and, this ethereal energy that is very much alive, that is very much active, right? When I say I've made some pretty big decisions in my life, I think some of it, especially when I was younger, was because I was younger and I was grateful for it. There was more of a, you know, you don't think about a lot of things as much when you're younger. I think you're more willing to take certain leaps. But as I've gotten older, I think I just know that knowing has come from years of paying attention, right? And the key thing being there, paying attention. This isn't something that I have that someone else doesn't. It's not that at all. It's just paying attention. And here's the thing, like we all have free will. So you can receive a sign and I think that a lot of people know when they are receiving a sign, but you don't have to take it, right? And so does that mean that it's good, that it's bad? It's not about that. It's not about, did I make a mistake? Did I make the right decision? Did I miss out? No, it's what is your relationship with that moment in time? And
Yes.
that's different.
Yeah. Well, and when you fall into that headspace of did I make a mistake, that's when anxiety and fear have taken over and you're operating through your ego. You've lost the connection to that soulful connection like through your heart space. Like you're now thinking about all of this through fear and discerning between when you're acting or questioning through fear and when you're actually acting or questioning through love is important. And it's like when I received that sign about the death doula training, I've been sitting with it. And I don't think it's about me becoming a death doula. What I think is about how can I support death doulas in bringing this part to their work. And I needed to sit with that because I wasn't like, ooh, yeah, I want to go get another training. I was
Right.
like, oh, no, maybe this is something that I could help people with. And that feels more right in my body. So, like, that's me being discerning. And I think your point, Millie, is like we do have free will. And part of that free will is being discerning and knowing there's no right or wrong or not now. Um, we get to choose when. I remember I wanted to move to Costa Rica for years. I wanted out of Charleston. I would say, if I'm supposed to stay in Charleston, send me this butterfly. If I'm supposed to move to Mexico, send me this butterfly. If I'm supposed to get send me Costa Rica. And I would get nothing. And one would be like, I'm
Mm,
not getting my signs. But what I realized is in the nothing, there's not enough information. It's not the right time. Like, stay put. And I was like, okay. And it took me a while to understand that sometimes the receiving nothing is actually a gift. And that is the sign. That is the sign to pause. That is the sign to wait. That is the sign, like, yeah, not the right time. Um, and Patsy, you were saying that sometimes they come in different ways. And, I feel like signs, the way we're talking about, are often are moments of like love and they're calm and still. I feel like sometimes when we feel chaos or things coming in ways that don't feel good, that might be like a sign to check in with like what's going on with me that like it might be our energy reacting to something that's saying, "Hey, something's happening that." Because I don't think spirit communicates through like scary stuff, but I feel like
Mm.
our energy and our trauma or our fear, when especially when we become more energetically aware and we're working with our energy and our intuition, I feel like things that can happen in our environment is like, hey, you're not paying attention to something that needs your attention. And the environment might be reacting to what's unconscious,
Without
like what we're not
actually, right,
processing. Like it could be
being reflective.
trauma. Like I've done readings for people who said like this scary stuff is happening in my house, and it turns out like maybe they're in like an abusive relationship and the electricity or something in their house is trying to get their attention to the volatility that they're choosing to be in. um so I guess, I'll never know anything till I cross over for sure, but in my mind those kinds of things are like bring your awareness to what might need you to focus on and what to heal or
Internal.
feel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Healer. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really and such a beautiful distinction because that's still a sign. It's just it's coming it's like the sign is, "Okay, turn inward. Let's, like, excavate this a little bit. What information do you have? How did that present itself? What" there's often like, when you're in dream work and you're analyzing a dream, there's, like, data you can kinda dig in a little deeper and get more curious about. Um, so I love that distinction. I think that's really helpful and really important, um, in order to help integrate it, right? To help, like, utilize this other pathway of knowledge to, broaden our expansion here. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I mean, and it reminds me of when we have a lot of chaos in our life. You don't, but I'm just saying, like, when we have a lot of chaos in our life or things feel really disruptive, I remember a lot of times we're disruptive or chaotic inside, and life is reacting to the energy we're bringing. Um,
Yeah.
you probably have experienced people that feel like there's a dark cloud around them, and
Sure.
I've known people who understand when I say this, encourage the chaos, not consciously, but that's all they know. So they're participating in chaos. So their life continues. It's like chaotic energy creates chaotic energy. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and, so that's what it reminds me of.
As you both were sharing, it reminded me of it was my birthday, January 15th, 2015. And so that was 10 years ago, which means I was turning 28. I was on my way to work. And at that time, I had just met this guy. I was seeing this guy that he was not good. Like, he was not good for me. Right. But there was, as you do, like, there was like this attraction, and I wasn't paying attention. I was overriding the red flags and all the things. And I was on my way to work, and out of nowhere, this boulder I was on the freeway, this boulder comes and smashes the front of my car and then rolls out, and that boulder didn't kill me, like, by the grace of God, you know? And I just remember thinking, like, "What was that?" Like, of
Mm,
course, like, "What was that?" And I was scared. And I was so, like, disconnected and so dissociated, and I at that time, I had just started I was probably a year into studying astrology,
mm,
and but I was still very much, like, disconnected from my body, like, I didn't have that knowing in the way that I know it now, I think. And I still went to work, which was crazy. I still saw that guy,
wow.
and then I just remember a few years later thinking to myself, thinking of that scenario, and I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
that's what that was."
Well, they
Wow.
say life whispers and then it starts throwing pebbles and then it throws rocks.
Then it rolls a boulder down the cliff. Like, holy heck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like life was speaking to me so clearly. And at
Mm.
that time, again, I was just a year into my astrology studies, so it wasn't deep and profound just yet, right? But I remember that time in my life and I was so lost, so like kind of probably just flailing through life and then again, like some of my point with that is yes, life will show you through chaos, the chaos that you're carrying within. Like, I can see that now and say that came out of nowhere, right? Because you're going nowhere. Your decisions are taking you nowhere. You know what I mean? Because you're not grounded within yourself. And it took me a few years to realize so some signs you're not going to understand till later because you don't have the
Mhm.
wherewithal, but just understand that when something like that happens, and of course I know that now, and of course that hasn't happened,
Mhm.
right? Um, that that is life just saying, wake
Mhm.
up. And you
Mhm.
have to, if you have the awareness, which I didn't at the time, to wake up, you will. And if you don't, life will keep showing you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good differentiation between what we're talking about is life is very clear. The energy of life is very clear when it's flowing with you and when it's not supporting what you're doing. And life does not support. It'll reflect the chaos, but energy will become stagnant. Your life will become stagnant and heavy.
Mm.
And what we're talking about is when is life showing you like a mirror of where you are or people around you or things to pay attention to? And when are we intentionally working with the divine or the energy of spirit or our loved ones to ask for signs? Like when are we
Mhm.
being and they're similar but
We're
different?
more engaged with life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I love that distinction. Hmm. Um, I think there's also been, so it's like, it's this combination of um, awareness, attunement to self and body, like paying attention to what's coming through life, starting to find that rhythm. There's also been a point in time where I can recall like feeling so eager to know my purpose, right? Like I was
Mm,
on this path of seeking and really like investing and over investing in some ways. Like if I look at it back on it now, given the groundedness I feel within myself and that all that work that I've integrated into myself, like the me that I was then is not the me that I am now, and I wouldn't have made some of those same choices today as I did then in terms of like outsourcing my power toward other
mm,
people and like relying like almost justifying in my brain at the time like, oh well, that's a sign I should follow that thing, like I should invest
uh,
again. And there's like an element of because I didn't have that muscle built up within myself that I was like giving that over, almost relying too much or not taking action, like kind of confusing and conflating those things.
mm,
Where the rhythm wasn't clean and flowing, it would stop up again and then I'd be sort of in this cycle and I'd receive a sign, but it was more of the kind like the boulder versus like the awe-inspiring hawk.
Right.
Um,
mm,
so I guess I just bring that forward to say there's also, I mean, this element of like this dance between like recognizing our own stuff and taking the action toward healing it. Um, it's like cumulative over time. It's hard to put into words like um,
Mhm.
a pathway toward finding your place, finding yourself in a place of peace and feeling like whole within yourself. But there
mhm,
was definitely a point on my path where I was outsourcing that a lot or like investing in someone like an intuitive reading over and over and over again, right? where I have that
Mm.
connection. We each have that individual connection to spirit, but I hadn't cultivated that inner trust. And I was like asking for somebody else to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that, you know, practitioners exist for that reason, but they are not the oracle. You are.
Right. You are.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are. And here's the thing, the practitioner may be able to put words to things that you can't, but the practitioner can only go as far into your own intuition as far as you've gone into yours,
Right.
Mm.
Mhm.
because it's a reflection of you,
Mm.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it becomes really, it can feel like this magical moment, which it is like, oh, you're putting words to something I feel and I haven't been able to put words to that. And that's so much, so incredibly
Yeah,
helpful.
especially when you don't have, you don't have
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And then, you know, that's where it's up to us to continue that practice of
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
Oh, so if that reader was able to put words to these feelings or to whatever it is that you're carrying, to this experience, then it becomes our responsibility to say, okay, now I have a frame of reference of when something like this comes up, how can I spend time with it? And what are the words that are coming up?
Mhm.
I mean, it can quite literally be, and this is something that I used to do is, okay, what's coming up? What is this that I feel? I don't know how to decipher it. Grab a notebook, grab a piece of paper, and just start writing down the words that come up.
Mhm.
Mm.
Just random words that are coming up. And then if they don't make sense in the moment, give them time.
Yeah.
Mm.
But just that connection, just that moment of you intentioning to try to understand it means that you are halfway through to understanding it.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not linear. It's not, I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna get.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not always like that.
Right.
Mm.
There needs to be
Story
room.
continues to build. I love that. It's so true,
There
right? It's
needs
like
to be
art.
room.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. Room for playfulness, room for development. And if we can remember that that is our relationship to this energy, to this frequency, to source, then it's different. Because I will also say that I think that the way that humans have been relating in the last several years, probably the last 10, 15 years, is what screws with the relationship to source. Because people rush into relationships with other human beings and they think that they can rush into a relationship to understanding source and their intuition.
Mhm.
No,
Mhm.
that's not how that works,
Yeah.
because there is something truly precious about something unfolding in time. And the more that you allow that to happen over time, you just understand it immediately. You do, I think you do get to a point where you understand things immediately. Does that mean you make decisions immediately? No, because you also learn to understand and discern that difference.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, following what Millie said, as an opportunity to practice, like the practical way, if you remember at the beginning when I did the soul reset, I invited you to think of a sign that you wanted to ask for from spirit, just to acknowledge as an acknowledgement of the relationship you're working on or building or connecting to. So, um, over the next few days, you don't have to look for the sign. If you've already asked for it, you don't have to look for the sign. Intuition, signs, all of those beautiful things come when we're not in our head, when we're not trying, when we're not searching with that energy of like desperation or fear or neediness. Not saying you can't feel those things, those are very human and normal. But what's beautiful is when we're like taking a shower, signs, information comes through. When we're driving, when we're doing something, when our mind is occupied in another space and we're more open, that's when we start to notice things. And we'll often notice them when we're in playful spaces. Like when I'm surfing, I love like so much comes through when I'm surfing because I'm just open and present. So if you can release the sign and then just when it comes, say thank you. And something that Patsy had suggested is as we move into the new year, maybe you want a sign for that year, like a symbol that feels like you could initiate that intention of like, this is what I'd like the new year to represent, or show me a sign that this year will represent. And then pay attention to what comes and how that sign shows up in your life over the next year. And yeah, and every time just maybe just give it a little say thank you. I see you, whatever feels good for you.
Yeah. Really beautiful. And I love that we get to keep working with it. Like we get to just, it's a continual practice. And we get to keep working with it, sitting with it, giving it that space to develop, as you said, Millie. And yeah, it's like a co-creative emergent thing.
Right. So
Mhm.
as we post, some of the clips of this episode, we would love to invite you all to share, some of your signs that have been meaningful to you, um, or if you want to share the sign that you want to set an intention for 2026. We'd love to hear that too. So you can leave it in the comments on Instagram of the clips we'll share, or I will also be sharing um, a box in our stories where you can share there, and it'll be a little bit more private if that's what you prefer. Yeah.
So, before we close, is there anything either of you have to offer where you can connect with others, our listeners?
Yeah, I'm still offering the 2026 year ahead reading. Those have, again, been so much fun. Just this last Sunday, I did my first in person event about 2026 here in Los Angeles. I'm having a second one on January 25th, 2026. So if you are in LA or happen to be in LA, the page for that will be coming up soon. But if you want to sign up sooner, reach out to me via email or DM on Instagram, and I'll reserve a spot for you.
Bring Millie. I have been working on creating a course that is dedicated to business owners who are planning an event. So, if there is anyone listening who's eager to plan an event in 2026 and would like some guidance around that, this is a real like win-win situation. So, the idea is that you get early access to the content, and in exchange, I'm just looking for feedback on how that content is landing, where some questions might arise to help me really shape and formulate the formal course. So if that is of interest to you, please go ahead and take a look at the show notes. There's a little application on my website right now, and I would love to have you involved. Um, yeah, that's it for now. How about you,
And
Ash?
Patsy is so helpful with this stuff. Like she helped me plan a retreat. And she's so thoughtful in like how to weave your intention into every aspect of what you're creating. So I highly recommend checking this out. And on that note, the retreat that she helped me plan is in Playa Grande in late February, early March. And I'm just so excited about this retreat, and we have a few spots left. So if you're interested, you can find information in the show notes or on my website. And I will also be part of the Love and Relationship Summit hosted by Real Love Ready called In Bloom. And that is in, where is it? Vancouver, Canada. And there's so many lovely speakers that are going to be there along with me. Millie and Patsy will be there to support me. So you could see us all in real time, and tickets are still available for that. So if you're interested, that's also in our show notes.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much. I hope you
Yes,
enjoyed this
thank you.
episode. We love hearing your feedback, your comments. So please keep them coming. And we just so appreciate each and every one of you who take the time to tune in every other week. Love y'all.
Yes. Love you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for joining us. If something stirred your soul or made you smile, share it with a friend or leave us a review. Until next time.